Will redevelopment come at the expense of heritage, culture, and livability? 2, from the governance perspective, will the URA strengthen accountability, transparency, and coordination across federal and state, or will it centralize power and weaken existing safeguards? And finally, from the legal perspective, how does the bill interact with property rights under Article 13? We had a long conversation earlier just now, Article 13 of the federal constitutions, with state land laws and with planning frameworks already in place.
Our concern is more of the implications of URA on the quality of the built environment. One of the approach to tackle the problems of urban decay and urban blights in the inner cities. Look into the history of it. I mean, we are not the only country in the world. What we do now actually has been experienced. The problem has been experienced in the whole world. And our role is actually to learn what has been done over there, not to repeat the same mistake, but to constantly and to learn from their mistake and find our own model to solve this problem. Okay, if you look, before urban renewal was introduced post-war, the approach was for comprehensive redevelopment. That means tearing down of all the urban sites, no matter, not considering the community and so forth, and build new. But after the World War, when they have been doing lots of comprehensive redevelopment, there was a public outcry because communities were divided, communities were disrupted, lots of gentrification issues and so forth. So in the 70s, urban renewal was introduced as an approach which is more sustainable, in the sense more conducive to tackle the social aspects of redevelopment. So what has been done in UK and the other country is that urban renewal is not just about tearing down buildings or repairing buildings, but it's also about rethinking urban design, infrastructure, and housing policies. How do we increase the supply of social housings to cater for the needs of the urban dwellers? And that's why in urban renewal projects that's been done in those countries involves public participation, sustainability, and trust. Trust means there's the governance, the government acts as an enabler and advocate, not using planning as an instrument for command and control. I have done 2 research 20 years ago about urban regeneration and urban renewal. I benchmarked Malaysia with UK, US, Japan, and Australia in how they treat the urban renewal. The first fundamental principle is urban renewal must be community-led planning. That means the residents and stakeholders must be involved, and urban renewal project must benefit local needs and historical context. So it is about inclusive community engagement in doing the urban renewal project. So that's one is the aspect. There's the definition of urban renewal, they put 3. Urban redevelopment, urban regeneration, and urban revitalization. If you read carefully, they are more or less the same. There's a lot of overlapping, it's very vague, very loose definition in the sense that when it comes to implementation, it will be subject to all sorts of interpretation. And this is what that worries us. Because how do you decide that for this kind of approach, you redevelop, you tear down the buildings, build new?
It's always a ticking process. I speak to somebody, we have done our part. So I think that component has not been matured enough for us to go through this kind of act. I think this should be also emphasized.
It boils down to demolish and rebuild. And it's not demolish and rebuild. Even the Land Acquisition Act sendiri pun has been open to abuse. What more a law which Prof has explained, banyak kelompongan, a lot of definitions which is open to a multitude of interpretations. Kan, ikut suka siapa je boleh interpret. Kecuali interpretasi yang diberikan oleh pemilik rumah, pemilik tanah. Kepentingan mereka adalah perkara yang terakhir sekali yang akan diambil kira. Sebabnya, look at the interpretation of interested persons under this bill. It's not just limited to owners or occupiers. It's open. It also includes anybody who's interested, liquidators, developers, any other third person. So when there are disputes, let's say this bill, it gets gazetted, it gets passed. When it comes to implementation, when there are disputes between the owner, the original owner, and third parties, so whose rights will prevail? Article 13 not just protects our rights over our property, but it also gives us indefeasible right through Section 340 of the National Land Code. What URA seeks to do basically is to just bulldoze over all those rights. all in the name of, I don't know what URA is in the name of, basically, right?
I think one of the things that doesn't sound right at all is the fact that a proposal can land in your lap in which you had no hand in framing the proposal. And then you are expected to give a yes or no answer. I think that's definitely a red flag for me. And I think the important thing is that to recognize too is that if the owners themselves had the opportunity to frame the proposal, wouldn't that also directionally lead to a better ability to get higher consent? So I think that is one thing which the Act doesn't promote in all the drafts that we have seen so far.
I'm worried about is that when you put so much emphasis on the developers in the URA as the driver of the urban renewal, you are actually contradicting the best practices in the world, where urban renewal is actually community-led.
Community-led, correct.
It is actually giving back to the local needs, the historical context.
Especially for a demolition and rebuild project, doesn't sideline even one person. Why should even one owner, rightful owner, be prejudiced, be sidelined just because you want to make it easy for whoever is going to make the most money out of URA?
I think that when consent is obtained, it's through a legitimate process, transparent process, nothing hidden or no agendas, no agendas there. Actually, even as we speak now, urban renewal is already happening in KL.
It's not an act just for redevelopment, but there are many other approaches for community benefits and also to improve the quality of life and the environment in the inner cities. And therefore, why was it drafted in the sense that it's the developer who is going to be the driver of this program instead of a government agency? I like the word trust deficit.
I mean, primary planning law has an appeal board. Appeal board is appointed by the state authority for planning disputes, right? Yeah, and the appeals board actually normally consists of retired judges appointed by state authority. But in the bill, URA bill, we have a mediation committee appointed under the minister himself.
In fact, the reason why I didn't want to ask about the committee, I think all of us know it's the same problem we have from those days. You appoint a committee, you have the control to appoint those committees. Where is the independence? So I think that question we all know it's a flag from beginning itself.